Today we are going to talk about voluntary and involuntary. Make sure you girls are not messing around. We're going to talk about voluntary and involuntary. In the read aloud you heard, because you control your skeletal muscles, deciding when and how you want to move your bones, they are called voluntary muscles. You also heard cardiac muscle is an involuntary muscle, meaning that you do not control this movement. Say the word voluntary muscle with me.
Voluntary muscle.
Say involuntary muscles with me.
Involuntary muscles.
Voluntary muscles are those that can be controlled by someone's own choice. Involuntary muscles are those that are controlled, they're not controlled by choice. Turn and tell your neighbor what are voluntary muscles. How do we control those? Turn and tell your neighbor how we use voluntary muscles. Go, turn, go. 3, 2, 1. Now I want you to tell that same partner, how do we use involuntary muscles? Three, two, 1. I use voluntary muscles in my leg to jump high in the air. But my heart is an involuntary muscle because I don't do anything to make it contract. It does it on its own. What are some examples of voluntary muscles? What are examples of voluntary muscles? Apollo. The heart is a voluntary muscle. You're telling your heart to work? That's unfortunate. I'm so sorry.
Your arm.
Good. Your appendicular muscles, right? You're telling them what to do at any given time. Otherwise, they might be up here doing crazy things. Turn and tell your neighbor one example of a voluntary muscle. Make sure you use the word voluntary muscle as you turn and share. Go. Three, 2, 1. Kason, give us your sentence, please, loud and proud.
Appendicular muscles are voluntary muscles.
Fabulous. Appendicular muscles are voluntary muscles. Great job. Emery, give us your sentence.
The voluntary muscles is like any movement with your legs.
Yep, movement that you control with your legs. Great. Voluntary muscles are going to be used with movements you control with your legs. Ray, one more.
One example of a muscle. An example of that is arms are. I forgot that type of muscle, but I know what it is. The arms.
Okay. So the muscles in your arms are voluntary muscles. Try and say that.
Muscles in my arms are voluntary.
Fabulous. That's a great way to put it. That bicep, tricep. Great job. Great. Griffin, face forward and be a respectful learner in this classroom. Thank you. And an involuntary muscle we have is our turn and tell your neighbor that. An involuntary muscle in our body is our 3, 2, 1. Zena, what is one of the words we've just been going over? Haley, what is one of the words we've just been going over? Involuntary muscles. Fabulous. Zena, what's our other word we've been going over? You can thank your neighbor for telling you. Voluntary muscles are the other type of muscle. We have involuntary and voluntary. Thank you. Please don't take learning opportunities from someone else. Let them struggle until they can get there on their own. What is the difference between voluntary and involuntary? Ryder.
Voluntary allows you to move. Involuntary doesn't.
Not quite. I love that though, because the voluntary muscles are the skeletal muscles, right? They do allow you to move, but not quite. Because remember, you even told me if that voluntary muscle called your heart stops, you're going to stop moving too, aren't you? And you're going to die, right? So what is the difference between them? Think about the really big difference between voluntary and involuntary. Would you like to phone a friend?
The difference between voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary, you have to tell it to do something. Involuntary, it just does it on its own.
Voluntary, you tell it. Involuntary, it does it on its
Oh.
own. Ryder, tell me the difference between voluntary and involuntary, my dear.
It tells you to do it and it does it on its own.
Which is which?
Voluntary tells you to do it and involuntary means it does it on its own.
Fabulous. Very good. Third graders, I am going to say a word, and I want you to tell me what it means. It is okay if you do not know what it means. I will help you, okay? But if you know what it means, you help me along the way. Then we are going to add the prefix into it. So we're going to add the prefix into the beginning. We're going to add that to the beginning of our word today, okay? Just kind of like we did with our word voluntary and involuntary. And we're going to practice this today, okay? So our first word is the word visible. What does it mean if something is visible? Lexi.
You can see it.
Fabulous. If something is visible, you can
See it.
If I add this prefix to the beginning of my word, my new word is
Invisible.
if something is invisible, what do we know about it? Cooper. You can't see it. Very good. Visible means you can see it. If we add the prefix into it, invisible means you.
Yeah, yeah, like it.
Our next word is the word accurate. What does the word accurate mean? Brock, what does the word accurate mean?
Means you're right.
It does. It means you're correct. It means you are right. So if we add our prefix in to the beginning of our word, our new word is?
Inaccurate.
Our new word is?
Inaccurate.
Now, I'm about to do a starburst because this half of my room plus Grayson is doing their job. Haley, you usually are, but you're super quiet today, and the rest of you are not participating. Get on it. Okay? You have got to be participating, being vocal, being with the group today. Our new word, or our old word, was accurate. It meant, Brock told us it meant you're right. It means you're correct. If we add the prefix into the beginning, our new word is?
Inaccurate.
Better. Inaccurate. If you are inaccurate, what might it mean? Joey?
That means that you're wrong.
It means you're not correct. You're not right, right? It means you're wrong. In a nice way to say it, you're wrong. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to fix it and hands off. You good to go? Okay. Our next word is the word complete. What does it mean if something is complete? Viola. It's finished. It's done. Thank you, this half of the room, for starting to participate a little more. It means it's done. It's complete. It's done, right? You finished it. If I add our prefix into the beginning, what is our new word?
Incomplete.
Incomplete. What does it mean if something is incomplete? Charlie. It's not complete. It's not.
Done.
It's not done. It's not finished, right? Our next word is the word flexible. It's flexible. Claire's eyes lit up a little bit, and I know it's because she is far more flexible than I. Claire, what does flexible mean? It's bendable, right? Able to move easily. Very good. If I take our prefix in and add it to our word, what new word do we have?
Inflexible.
which describes Mrs. Martin. What does that word inflexible mean? Grayson. It's not stretchable, right? It's not easily movable or bendable. It's like the description of me. I can hardly touch my own toes. Chloe, sit up. Our next word is the word edible. Ooh, I like this one. Edible. What is it, Kyler? What does it mean if something is edible?
It means like you can eat it.
Yeah, it does. If something is edible, you can
Eat it.
Great job. So if you add our prefix in to the beginning, our new word is
Edible.
and it means you what? Can't eat it. Should not eat it. If something isn't edible, it's like your desk. Dear Lord, don't eat your desk. A starburst is edible. In summary, if we add the prefix in to a word, it means it's that root word, but not, right? So you're not flexible. It's not visible. It's not edible or something you can eat. By adding the prefix into a word, we're making it not. Okay? Feeling okay with prefixes? Prefixes are just those syllables we add to the beginning of the word to completely change its meaning.